This episode of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by Netflix. We loved the last version, so we had to check out Magic the Gathering Duels of the Planeswalkers 2013 for the iPad.
Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad
If you've watched our show for any period of time, you know that we love Magic the Gathering. We played a lot of Duels of the Planeswalkers 2012. I know I played it on multiple platforms. I literally played all the way through it on the PC and then started it up on my 360. Now we have another platform to play it on, and it's interesting. We all got our hands on the iPad version of Duels of the Planeswalkers 2013. Lots of changes, lots of updates, not the least of which is a whole bunch of new decks and new cards. But there's a whole new structuring system that's taking place, new challenges, new encounters. I am so excited. I am a huge Magic fan. I've gotten into going to conventions and freaking tournaments and stuff.
Yep.
Alex?
Yes. Well, when we played Duels of the Planeswalker 2012, immediately the first thing you think is, why is this not on the iPad? Why can I not just be throwing my cards when I want to throw my card? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And boy, it really sings on the iPad.
System, you know.
Oh,
that's
an interesting thing. Too.
That to me was where I went. Yeah. They're smart people.
But it's really exactly the same product that's on the 360 and PC.
Yeah, and it really does for me. I think it is a mechanic that is surprisingly satisfying, rather than hovering over or scrolling over and clicking on the card that you want to do, just swiping and throwing it out to the deck or to the table. That in and of itself was worth the price of admission for me.
Really?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I had a really good time. It felt very. I mean, it's Magic, so the gameplay is just fun anyway. And also, the thing that I love about the game versions of Magic the Gathering is that there are a lot of things that are worded fairly ambiguously.
Really?
But not by choice. I think just some things, like an example was, as I was playing this game, there was a card that said, basically it was a card that whenever you put this creature in, it can destroy an artifact or an enhancement. Enchantment, right? I assumed that meant I can choose if I want it to destroy something. Well, I put it in, and I was the only one with an artifact, and it has to choose. It doesn't say has to. It just implies that you know that it has to. So there are little things like that that you would learn. I mean, you learn by playing a lot of Magic and having that card ever come up once. I mean, I've played a lot of Magic. Never had that happen to me. Huh? Now it has. But because of the fact that it's on the computer, it knows how that's supposed to react. And so when I throw it out there and I'm like, what? I don't want to highlight that. No highlight. And it's like, no, you have to choose that. So then I have this card that now I'm playing it correctly. Whereas before I wouldn't have played it correctly. I would have thrown it out and been like, I don't want to do it.
Or we would have argued about the rules for an hour.
Well, or you would have been like, this is the actual rule because I've seen this happen before. Yeah. But either way, it's one of those things where you can learn the sort of intricate ways of doing it. And one of the great
other thing you have
to
look out for is when it says every player loses 3 life. That means you too.
Yes, yeah, right. I have that. I had a card like that. But the other thing is that it also has these great sort of encounter experiences that are built completely differently. And one of them that I really enjoyed was the fact that the other player has the exact same cards. So in the exact same order.
You're talking about the challenge?
No,
yeah,
the encounters.
Encounters, but they're basically. They're basically like little challenges where you have to now.
Challenges are different. I mean, I think it's important to specify the fact that there's a menu option of challenges.
Right.
Oh, right.
Which is these are the specific things that are happening. It's a puzzle.
Yeah.
It's a puzzle.
Right.
Yeah. The encounters are the enemy is going to play.
These are in the campaign mode.
Yes.
You get an encounter, and then you have a boss, and then you have encounters and then a boss. Or whatever.
But for me, that was really great because what they're doing, which I think is so smart, which is if you already play Magic, you can just play Magic. If you are learning Magic for the first time, or you want to just get better at Magic, at strategy, and how should I use my cards and how would they affect these other cards, you can play these encounters where it's the same cards, and so you can figure out how my game style affects the outcome of the game where their game style has nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? And for me, it was really great.
I disagree specifically about that point. I thought the encounters would be really exciting because it would let me test out strategies, but the end result is that there's no AI happening and there's no responsive. So I'm literally playing a set series that is coming out not based on the circumstances of the table.
Right.
So there were times when I had eliminated everybody, my opponent's monsters, and then he comes out with a buff card to change. Right. But no one ever would play that in that moment because he had nothing to apply it to.
Right.
So it becomes like, well, now I'm not really even playing anything. I'm not.
Right.
I remember you having a problem with 2012, the difficulty ramp. Did you find that to be the case here? Like it would spike in difficulty, and you were like, I'm not gonna play this anymore. I can't get past that guy.
I didn't hit a wall like that yet. I mean, I'm still playing it, but what I found was, for whatever reason, it was easier for me to just go play again. I don't know why. It was just easier for me to kind of get through a couple games to find the sort of unlock the secret. You know what I mean? So I didn't find that. I mean, in 2012, obviously, I couldn't even get past the first person. I played for hours. But with this, I didn't have that much of that experience yet. I may. You know what I mean? I might hit a guy that is just like, you know what I mean? But I think the other thing is the in-app purchase stuff. I'm very interested to see how that works, because being able to buy full decks, but also buying individual cards, I mean, that kind of gets into that. The thing that is one of the greatest things about Magic that is hard to translate to digital, which is finding the card, opening the pack.
Yeah. Well, they did that in 2012 as well. But yeah.
I would wish that with the in-app purchases, if I was an invested card player, Magic card player, that to then have to invest separate monies into a deck that only exists digitally.
But it's so different.
Is there no way for, if I buy a foil pack, I get those cards sent in or like a coup, whatever. Like, can I get both? You know, do I get a boost? Can I buy a booster in the store and then I get a redeem code?
When we can sell it to you twice.
Right, I know.
But it's so different too, because you'll never have a deck that's like the ones that are constituted in. I don't think anybody would ever really.
Why is it so different?
I mean, you could theoretically.
I thought the cards were totally mirroring.
Well, but the way the decks are constant. I mean, you can has your own deck manager. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I was using that. Yeah.
Oh, you were.
Because you get more than you can only have 60 cards in your hand when you unlock cards, and if you don't manage it, it's gonna do random.
But
whatever.
it has these themed decks that are very specific. Which I mean, if you just went to the store, it would be much more difficult. I mean, you can buy.
Oh, I didn't get crazy custom, which is exciting actually to think about. But yeah, I absolutely love this. It's a great iPad experience because
that first image that was Retina display.
Yeah,
was
it's a gorgeous. It's a gorgeous game. I played a lot of Magic-like games on the iPad. I think even talked about one of them in our on an On My Radar segment from a while back. There's a new one that just came out called Duel of the Fates, and it's just great to see Magic doing it and doing it wonderfully. The cards that in person always have beautiful art on it. Are in higher resolution, and not higher resolution, but it's like you can't really dig into the details when you're looking at it. But when you zoom in on the card to see more information, you see this beautiful artwork, and in the load screens you see the beautiful artwork, and it's just such a robust app that's free, by the way. You can pay for more of it for a fuller version.
It feels more like a demo.
Perhaps,
you can't
but
go
there
very far.
is.
Did you play before you bought?
I played, and then I bought, but I did not play to completion.
Well, I played almost up until I had to buy. Okay. And it's not tons.
But you can also
it's great that you get any.
But can't you also play multiplayer in free?
I didn't try that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you can. I think you can. So there is replay value in.
It's $10. It's not a lot.
But that being said, so amazing. I think it works better on the iPad for other reasons in that it was the last year's version never asked me to. I was never incited to turn on my Xbox for it or turn on my PC for it. Obviously, you were, but it's just the kind of game that I wouldn't want to. If I'm going to turn on my thing, I'm going to play the disc in there, or I mean, there are some amazing downloadable games, but it wasn't that for me because it's more of a casual experience for me. And so being on the iPad, it does what every great Angry Birds or any of those great casual games do, where it feels like I can just pick up and play it because if there's one session and there's strategy involved, so I'm thinking about like a puzzle game would, especially in those challenge modes that are like the puzzle mode of the game, which is, I love the challenge mode. But it also sucks me in for hours. So I'll just one more bit. And when I can't beat someone, just one more time, which is just like any iPad or iPhone game. I mean, it's
that's the problem.
It's glorious in that way. And I loved the different
sleep.
The difference between playing Magic in person and then playing in this game are the different modes. And I loved the plane chase mode. Is it called plane chase? Loved that. Totally flips the script on gameplay. Two-headed giant, a little overwhelming for me. Where
those are all
like,
you can play on the table as well, but
you know, do I have enough friends to do that? I mean, that's the whole thing. Whereas this is I pick it up and I'm freaking doing it. So it offers a lot. It's a great app. It's a great game.
I agree. I have a little bit different perspective on the app. I love the fact, as you say, that it's something I can sit in bed and go, oh, I'll just play a couple more, and then all of a sudden it's 3 o'clock in the morning. So that's problematic, but awesome.
I love that you love that.
Convenience.
That is my last night. Literally, you just to 3 o'clock in the morning.
Me too, man. Me too.
Yeah.
And I think I do prefer playing it on the 360 or my PC, just because I found myself missing the timer cooldowns way too often because I'll sit back with my pad and like, and I have to tap the right spot rather than sitting back and looking with my controller in my hand and I just have to hit a button because I'm already prepped and ready or with my, and I want to interrupt something because something has happened and those timers go really fast. And in a tabletop Magic game, that would never happen because the guy sitting across from you is waiting for you. I mean, you have a certain amount of time, but it's like, oh, I want to do that, you know? But
I wonder if you can extend those in like settings.
Maybe, I didn't even look. That's a good question. Tons of great stuff added to the game. We haven't even really talked about all the great new additions. I love the way it is now separated into the planes so that you move through Innistrad and Mirrodin and you're in those themed areas and you're getting introduced to the concepts that were introduced in those expansions. So brilliant. It's the first one, I believe, that has basically motion comic cutscenes, which are awesome.
Yeah, those are
and
great.
Voiceover, which is nice.
Yeah, it's got a revamp to the interface. It's got great brand new graphics and I mean it's pretty much the same kind of thing, but it's got a new look and feel to it. When you're in attack mode, it like the center ring will glow. So many little cool additions. But what you're really coming for is the new cards, and there are so many awesome, awesome, awesome new cards. There's new Planeswalkers. Really cool. Every time you fight a Planeswalker in the campaign mode, it gives you a lore screen, so you can like find out stuff that got quotes. Like the freaking Garuk quote is so rad, where he's like, "I'm not a monster. I am thousands of them."
I was
so brilliant.
And
it gives you like a rundown, so you get tied into this world a little more than you did. It's a wonderful introduction to Magic. It has a great tutorial mode. And as you said, you can download the app or the Xbox version as a demo. I don't know if the Steam version allows you to do that, but probably. I think I'll probably buy it on 360 and maybe Steam as well. I just love it. It supports all the achievements of the Steam version in the Game Center on the app, which is great. I just freaking love this game so much. It's going to steal hours of sleep from me, and it really feels like a fully robust version on the iPad. It is a meaty experience. Couldn't recommend it higher.
I heaped a lot of praise on this app as well, and I realized that I should say there are some things that aren't perfect.
Like what?
There's a couple like clicking on something and dragging it, and it doesn't register right away.
Or you have to drag all the way to the profile in order to link it up.
Yeah,
Where on the controller I can just go beep beep.
Things weren't as crisp as I wanted them to be.
Yeah, the main menu was a little
there were
sloppy looking at times.
And there were some mistakes that happened that I hit finish and I realized I need to drag a card out, and I tapped the card and then hit finish, but no, I had to drag the card all the way out. Like you learn as you go, but just weren't a super crisp experience.
Wouldn't happen with the controller or the mouse.
Right.
Yeah.
But
so I think I'll prefer playing it on those.
And the more info, seeing more info, to speak to what Alex was saying. I had a card that said Exalted. I don't know Exalted. I'm new to the game. What does Exalted mean?
Yeah.
Oh, more info. It tells me exactly what that is. You can't get that in another, I'm sure in the other systems, but you can't in a non-digital experience.
Yeah.
So.
Or
Good times.
unless a human being is there.
But then you
but if that person
also the little things that are in the box tell you. But, you know.
All right, everybody, be sure to stick around. We're going to be answering one of your Twitter questions right after this. But first, our sponsor, Dan Trachtenberg.
Yeah, it's Netflix, guys.
It is Netflix, guys.
Netflix is a service that I use all the time. It streams TV shows and movies directly to your Xbox, your PS3, your PC, your Mac, your iPad is what I use it on quite a bit. Even on your iPhone, it works. Or your Nintendo Wii.
I think Android too, right?
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
anything.
Every place.
Almost everything. You can watch as many movies or TV shows as you want, and you can cancel at any time. You get a free 30-day trial membership if you go to www.netflix.com/TRS. And if you're in the UK and Ireland, Netflix is now available for you. So if you go to netflix.co.uk/TRS or netflix.ie/TRS, you can get that same free 30-day trial.
Amazeballs. All right, people, hang in there. We'll be back tomorrow.
Join us tomorrow for On My Radar.
Today's Twitter question, sent in with the hashtag TRSQ, was sent in from Norm C, who goes by Norm the Storm on the Twitters. He asks, if you could choose any 3 people to host TRS for a day, who would it be?
Well, we should maybe choose one each, right?
No, I think the cool thing is the cool combo of I would love to see these 3 guys.
All right, who you got then?
Yeah.
Who you got?
Well,
Who's your cool combo?
I would love to see. I'll tell you, actually.
No, I want you to tell me. The reason I asked you
is
is for you to tell me.
This is the dinner table.
Alex, who are you?
No. I would love to be. I would
Jeff's
love to
dinner
see
table.
Ridley Scott, Tony Scott, and Jake Scott, Ridley's son, hosting. Like the family. That they're very different filmmakers, but similar. But they're a family and the familial relationship. I love the idea of that. Likewise,
I think you'd have to name the
Francis
show
Ford
something.
Coppola.
yeah, well, no,
Sofia
Robert
Coppola.
Zemeckis, Steven Spielberg, and George Lucas.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine?
The stories?
Talking about
the stories,
forgetting that. Well, they had to
we
host
would
our
get
shows. They
a
had
like
to
lot
the
more
review
They had to
viewers.
do. They had to do On My Radar. They had to like talk about the
what's
current
on-
movie.
what's on Steven
You know what I
Spielberg's
mean?
radar? My
Brad
favorite
Media
is-
matchup. Media
Yeah.
matchup. Like,
My favorite was like, so Steven, what's on your radar? Well, I bought a $50 million
Guys,
yacht, which is
I
nice.
actually just had a brilliant idea.
Let's make
Call
that happen.
them.
No, which is we do an animated. I mean, I almost want to say this. But we do an animated spin-off of our show where it's scripted like different
Fake
hosts,
people?
fake.
That's a good idea.
Doing the different segments.
Sort of like a celebrity death match.
Yeah.
All right.
It's actually really awesome.
And what
If anyone
Norm
wants
C
to
will
do
be
that,
an EP.
email us because
We had that
I'm
idea
serious.
before him.
Yeah.
You got one or no? We're just moving
But
on.
no, that was it.
That
That's
was
enough.
Dan won the Twitter question.